Hello again. I confess myself fascinated by the effect that anti-racism appears to have on the minds of those who espouse its ideology. A dozen or so of these characters comment here, and I think it fair to take them to be typical examples of the breed. A couple of the anti-racists who comment regularly on this channel also run channels of their own, which have no other purpose than to talk about me and my supposed iniquities. Assuming that I am right and that there is nothing out of the ordinary about the anti-racists who come here, evidently in the belief that I am some kind of far-right hate-monger, perhaps it might be interesting to examine how their minds work and what makes them tick. I published a video here yesterday about hate speech. In it, I mentioned two specific pieces of legislation, one in this country and one in the United States, which were designed expressly to prevent people from using intemperate language to create public disorder or incite violence against the members of certain groups. I said plainly that I thought such laws to be necessary and wise. Let me quote what I said, just to remind ourselves. I said, "It is very right and proper that I should be forbidden by law from menacing or insulting somebody simply because that individual is black or homosexual or a woman. It is also right that it should be illegal for me to provoke trouble in public by shouting insults at people based on their religion, ethnicity, and so on." That sounds clear enough. I would have thought it sounded clear enough at any rate. I also said, "For most of us, I think, preventing disorder and violence caused by intemperate language is probably as far as the law needs to go." I talked about the 1936 Public Order Act in this country, which was a response both to the events in Germany, which coincided with the coming to power of the Nazis, and it was ultimately triggered by the activities in this country of Oswald Mosley's British Union of Fascists, particularly the rally held at Olympia in 1934. In other words, I was speaking specifically about a piece of legislation which was in response to the rise of the Nazis in Germany and the activity of fascists in Britain. Remember, the 1936 Public Order Act was passed just 2 years before Kristallnacht. Guess what the first comment by one of those anti-racists who hang out in the comments here was? It was about the way that vicious language preceded violence against the Jews in Nazi Germany, and asking if I didn't see that words could provoke violence against a minority. In other words, the very thing I had talked about in the video and said that the law needed to be able to tackle. When I had finished screaming in despair and banging my head on the desk in frustration, I stopped to think about this. In the meantime, a few of the other anti-racists who come here to denounce me and all my works had responded, saying in effect, "Ha, that told him." None of them seemed to be in the slightest degree aware that this was the very point I had been making, and that I had specifically mentioned that a law was needed in this country in the 1930s to curb that very kind of language which was designed to stir up disorder and incite violence against a minority. Seriously, they had seemingly none of them even realised what I had said. This is weird, and I can offhand think only of two possible explanations, neither of which is pleasant. The first possibility is that those people, who I believe are fairly typical of anti-racists in this country, are enormously stupid and simply incapable of watching a video lasting just 7 minutes with their full attention and being able to follow a simple line of reasoning. This would be alarming because these people express very strong views and one would at least hope that they are rational and form their opinions based upon evidence and reason. The other possibility is that they are not acting in good faith. That is to say that they do understand the points being made, but deliberately pretend not to do so and choose to misrepresent what is being said, even if they actually agree with the point of view, twisting it so as to discredit the speaker. This would, of course, be worse than stupidity, because it would mean that the average anti-racist is not stupid, but cunning and malicious. I say this because I have noticed other anti-racists using the same tactics elsewhere as those seen on this channel. I'm not, of course, founding my opinion only on the exchanges here yesterday. What appears to happen is that these people are following the old maxim of the Jesuits that if the end is lawful, then the means to obtain that end are similarly lawful. That is to say that anti-racists are utterly convinced that they are right and that anybody who opposes them or holds a view which differs from their own is not merely ill-informed or mistaken, but actually evil. This would account for what is seen. Anti-racists tell the most awful lies and say things which only a fool would take at face value. But if anybody asks questions, then they respond with abuse. I think that they justify this to themselves by believing in their own virtue and persuading themselves that those who disagree with them belong to the far right or are fascists or racists. This would explain neatly what I have observed happening in the comments here. Those dozen or so people who see it as their self-appointed duty to fight me and try to get my channel removed from YouTube simply cannot accept that there might be more than one correct and ethical point of view about anything, and that all those who fail to agree with them are dangerous fanatics. After seeing the way in which what I said yesterday had not even been heard by the fellow who made that idiotic comment about Nazi Germany, I thought I'd have a look at his channel to see what the people who comment here say to each other when they are among friends. Two of those whom I often see here were talking about jury trials and the democratic process. One said of juries that there is a good argument against putting Joe Bloggs in charge of such decisions. To which another responded with, "That's true, especially in the EU referendum vote." And right there you have it. A contempt for ordinary people and an expressed desire to end democracy and trial by jury. Trust me, I know what fascism looks like in its early stages. And while these saintly anti-racists are wringing their hands in dismay at the far right, they privately want to see people deprived of the right to a trial by jury and also to abolish the very principle of voting as a way to decide what should happen in the country. These are dangerous people, and from all that I am able to apprehend, the anti-racist movement is full of this type of person.